Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world, and welcome to another edition of the Living World of Darkness. This evening we find Morgan, the Puka Changeling, currently sitting atop a rooftop, wondering if a new acquaintance might be around, considering that they're both fairly similar in many ways. Morgan waits and doesn't have to wait long. As Morgan sits, a fairly large raven flutters its way down from the north side of the city and almost completely lands on Morgan's shoulder and squawks playfully at her, fluttering its wings a few times before finally settling on her shoulder and canting its head to one side and then to the other in a fairly quick succession.
Oh, hello again, she says. Um, she wasn't too startled. She heard the flapping of wings before he uh, landed on her shoulder, but she's just kind of like looking at like, oh, hello again.
Elle will just again flutter a few times before jumping down and switching up from the different form, coming into a Hamid form. Once again, Elle sits against one of the radiators and smirks. Well, hello, Morgan. It's nice to see you again.
Hello, Elle. How have you been?
Oh, good. Been here, been there. I flew to Coney Island yesterday. That was an experience.
Coney Island. Why does that sound familiar?
It's like the big amusement park just southeast of Manhattan. I rode the Ferris wheel for about 3 hours straight.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say there's a big wheel there. It looked very cool.
You should fly out there with me sometime, and we can sit on top of it and watch it go round and round and round. Fly down, catch a burger or catch some hot dog buns. There's a wonderful place there called Nathan's Hot Dogs, and people just throw their food away. It's amazing. They just throw it right at your feet.
That does sound good.
I
Yeah,
love
sure,
Nate.
why not?
But anyhow, how have you been?
Oh, not too bad. Um, just hanging around. Not really. Not too much has been going on.
So, nothing interesting? Yes or no?
No.
Oh. Well, since things weren't interesting, what would have made them interesting? And Elle will just simply wink.
Morgan's like, did they just wink at me? Is that like a playful wink or what was that? And just like, okay. Well, seeing you again has made it interesting.
Well, I generally tend to make things more interesting than sometimes I intend. That means I get myself into trouble occasionally.
Yes, you're the picture of modesty.
Hey, I've been nothing but a gentleman.
A gentleman. She kind of like a, and then it kind of like occurs to her and she feels like really stupid that she's been kind of like assuming this whole time that Elle was a chick. I mean, he has long hair. He has kind of feminine features and long nails, and she's just kind of like she just starts like flushing completely because she feels dumb.
El will cant his head to one side with a slight perplexed look, but simply shrug and smile and sigh slightly. Is it the clothes? It's always the clothes.
Oh, no, you look great. You look fantastic. In fact, like, I, where do you shop? She's just kind of like, she's like struggling at this point to like hide that her intentions. Uh, but then she's like, okay, yeah, I kind of, it was kind of your name and just your hair is long and you have pretty eyes and pretty lips and she's like, yeah.
Oh, well, L is actually short for Elliot.
So maybe you should start with that.
Well, you ever considered that maybe I'm going for that gender ambiguity?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess if you're into that, I don't judge.
Hmm. Well, we're all a little bit odd in our own ways. Aside from, the whole turning into a bird sort of thing.
I'm pretty sure people have thought I was a guy before, so yeah, don't take too much offense to it.
Hmm, I don't know. Eh, I don't really see it, but if other people have, other people have. But then again, you also are a compulsive liar, so maybe you're just trying to make me feel better. Or yourself feel better. Not really sure.
Morgan's just gonna smile.
But anyways, you know, I was out and about the other day and I was flying around and I saw all these wonderful shiny things and I thought, there's this one shiny thing that makes me think of my new friend Morgan, and I thought, this Morgan has to have this. And with that,
Oh,
Elle reaches into his coat and pulls out a a necklace with a green emerald set in the center. Unbeknownst to her, and rolled for before we did the scene, Elle used the gift, Taken the Forgotten, and managed to make the poor Puka forget she ever owned such an item. A common tactic that this young, gender ambiguous young man has used before to befriend people. And he simply bends at the waist, almost in a curtsy like manner, tucking one arm behind his small of his back and holding out the shiny object for Morgan to behold.
Morgan, she'll kind of like move to her knees and kind of like reach up to kind of like touch this dangling dark emerald that's catching the light. And she like slowly takes it from his hand and she's kind of like turning it over in her fingers and her hand and um, looking at the intricacies of it, the framework, the how the emerald was set into it. And this is a pretty good sized emerald, so she's kind of like, wow, this must have either cost him a fortune, but seeing as how he likes to just take things from people, and she kind of just like smiles to herself, like, ah, he stole for me. And she's like, oh, thank you, thank you. This is this is really, really beautiful. And she's just like kind of in awe of it. And she might be seeming a little bit rude right now because she's paying this necklace so much mind that she's almost forgotten Ella's there, other than saying a few thank yous to him and just like pretty much drooling over this trinket.
L is not offended. He's actually rather satisfied with himself. He has this very smug expression on his face that has just a hint of being extremely mischievous, and yeah, he he knows it's worked at this point, and he's just glad it did because he has gotten in trouble a time or two and has scars to prove it. But he simply sits on the air conditioning unit that she's sitting just in front of and kind of leans over her, watching her kind of inspect the trinket.
Morgan's still turning this emerald over in her hand, and she's trying to catch the light from different angles, from the different faces of the gem. Um, and this is a really deep, dark emerald, so it's really cool. Light does catch it and show off all this like different sides of it and everything. So she's just playing around with that for a while, and she'll kind of like look up at him for a moment and be just like, "It's can I try this on?"
He'll reach down and take the chain from her and just see if she'll let him put it on her.
Morgan will oblige.
Elle will simply clasp the chain around her neck and set the pendant just below her neckline, and then almost instinctively start running his hands through her hair, but not in the way a human would. He's actually again sort of doing that bird-like preening that he can't seem to prevent himself from doing with someone that's at least somewhat bird-like.
Morgan's going to wait, oh silly, does she still remember the ring that he gave to her?
Yeah, actually, she does.
Okay. Um,
Now
like,
she doesn't know why he gave it to her. It just seems like he's really generous.
yeah. Um, well, I feel kind of bad now. You've given me all these beautiful things, and I haven't given anything to you.
Well, he just kind of clears his throat and scooches down to sit next to her on the rooftop. I don't really live anywhere, so I don't really have a place to keep a whole lot of possessions, so to speak. I live on the good graces of others when I'm in an area, staying here, staying there, staying with people that I sometimes work for, or friends, or occasionally family, or, you know, people that take a striking to me at a bar sometimes. Not to imply that anything actually goes down, but you know how people are with their alcohol. They'll take anybody home, and it's usually easy just to let them tucker themselves out, talking, attempting to woo you over, and then, crashing on their couch.
Oh, is that all you do? She kind of like smirks at him, and she's playing with the necklace on her neck now, kind of like her chin tilted down as she's still staring at it.
Well, occasionally somebody strikes my fancy, and, maybe something happens. I don't know. It all depends on the other person.
Morgan just kind of like chuckles and gives him a quick look before um she's just kind of like she's got her finger wrapped around the necklace and she's like, well, things do happen. But what are you up to today? Any investigations?
No, no, no. I've still got this message that I'm told not to send to anybody until the time is right. Annoying.
Uh,
It's like being a courier and you have a package for somebody, but you can't give them to them until a certain time. But you never know when your supervisor's going to call and tell you, hey, go ahead and take that over to those giant 9 foot tall death machines with claws and fur and fangs and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I don't envy you.
Eh, well, they tend to like us because, we actually stayed true to what we were meant to do. And that's take information and pass it around.
So, what do you do in your free time since it sounds like you have a lot of it?
Um, well, sometimes I go to the park and I fly down and I chase away uppity pigeons who think they have claim over, the food that the old people throw out.
Yeah,
And
the
then,
mortgage is kind of gonna scoff at this, like, oh, those stupid pigeons.
yeah, I know,
They're
right?
so dumb.
They just walk around. They're like flying rats, just walking around. Ah, so annoying. And then they land next to you on like a telephone pole and they look at you. And you just look right back at them and you can tell there's just nothing going on there. Lights are on, but nobody's home.
And they poop everywhere.
Yes, they do.
Have
Um,
some decency.
yeah, have some self-respect. And they always, oh gosh, have you ever had one try to groom you?
Not if I can help it.
You walk away with more lice than you did when they started.
Morgan's just gonna start busting out laughing. You've had lice before?
Okay, well, sometimes in my line of work, you have to stay a bird for a really, really long time. I like to call that, or we like to call that our corvid shape. And, I think the longest I spent was like 6 months as a bird trying to gather information. And oh, it was a real challenge to keep myself completely clean.
Hmm,
And when you
yeah.
have to share space with pigeons, there's only so much one person can do.
Yeah, a lot of these roofs aren't built for good bird keeping. And even then, you do have to fight with the pigeons.
Pigeons. There's a red hail talk over on 22nd in Maine, and oh, he's so territorial. Like I go to try and land, and he tries to chase me away, and I mean, I could put a hurting on him if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. I mean, he's just a little bird guy trying to look out for his little bird family. But he's
That
such a
is kind of
yeah,
sad.
he's such a dick. But yeah, it took me like a month to get clean. I was still finding lice in me like a month later.
Ew.
Yeah, but that was
That's
that was a while ago. I stay clean now.
you don't you don't have lice anymore, and she'll kind of like prod in his hair.
He'll actually lean towards her hand in the whole reciprocation of social grooming.
Nope, you're clean.
See, I get to spend a lot more time as a homid or sorry human than well now anyway at least, which is nice, because it leaves me free time to if there's and he starts playing around with the tips of his fingers. If there's somebody that, maybe you think you might enjoy spending time with and all that sort of stuff, you can actually go out and do things besides, fly around and eat breadcrumbs and go through trash and take shiny things from.
It's just gonna kind of like watch him and kind of like smile and then be like, "Do you want to go to a festival tomorrow?"
Sure, what kind of festival?
Um, it's 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 a festival where I come from. It's like a really for my kind, it's a really extravagant and really looked forward to celebration. It's called it's like the High Summer Festival.
Is it like a Celtic kind of thing?
Celtic? I don't think so.
No, I just there are these types of wolves in the park. They generally speaking have fur, and they're really into like seasonal festivals.
Um, well, why don't you meet me here and I'll take you there. You can't really meet me there. I'll have to take you.
Oh, okay. Um, do I, need to wear anything, anything special? Do I need to wear like neutral gang colors if it's something like that?
Oh no, dress up however you like. It's just a big day of celebration.
Hmm. Okay. Um, anything I should know before I go there?
Um, hmm. Well, it's going to be maybe a little bit strange for you, a little bit. Don't
You know,
worry about it though. It'll be fine.
strange is a
I
really
won't let
relative.
anything.
I'm glad you're looking out for me, but considering that we're two creatures that can turn into birds, don't you think strange is kind of a relative term?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But this is okay. This sounds great. I'll meet you here. And then you can take me to this festival. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's just a high summer night. Um it's all about freedom and mirth and yeah, my kind particularly enjoy this festival.
Pukas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, Miss Morgan, I'll meet you here. We'll go to this festival, and I'm sure we'll have a great time.
Okay. Well, I'll see you then.
Ella just kind of smirks and pulls his hand out of her hair, finding no lice, and stands up in front of her and bows slightly before shifting back into a corvid form and then fluttering off into the distance.
Morgan's gonna wave as he scoots off into the sky.
And I think here we can end our scene.